recruiting, Astros, Cowboys, win totals are in. So NFL win totals and more. Before
good weather, nice weather
Good afternoon, Bryan College Station. Welcome to the Beliucci Hour lunch, live on Sports Radio 1150 The Zone, 93.7 FM. I did it again, but I caught myself in mid-wrong number, 93.7 FM. It's still taking me a little bit to get used to that change. We are here at the Tap on Harvey Road, chowing down on some of the Tap's great lunch menu specials, $8.49 burger basket, $8.49 chicken BLT, comes with fries and a drink. Don't forget, Monday nights here at the Tap, karaoke. Wednesday nights, piano bar, and on Tuesdays and Fridays they are doing crawfish. For any more information you'd like to see what's going on here at the Tap on this stage, visit their website, tapbcs.com. I'm Ryan Brauninger. We are awaiting the arrival of Beliucci, who he did give me the courtesy call today to let me know that it was all dependent on the traffic lights on Texas Avenue, what time he'd be here. So I appreciate Liucci's courtesy calls. But usually, like I said, when the phone does ring and it's 12:03, I know that I'm going to have to sit up here and ramble for a little bit, and he likes to give me a hard time about that. We're going to try to get to a lot of miscellaneous stuff today during the show. Really not a ton going on to get Billy's thoughts, latest thoughts on the Texas A&M athletic director search, and maybe if there's not an update, just some stuff that he would like to see out of this athletic director from the hire that the higher-ups make over there at Texas A&M. I want to get his thoughts on NFL Aggies transitioning to the next stage of their career. Not talking about maybe some rookies going in, but, the Christian Kirks, the Jake Matthews and Myles Garrett and all those guys and where he sees them. I know Myles Garrett was just they did a feature piece on him on Bleacher Report that kind of expounded upon what we know as A&M fans about Myles, about his paleontology background and his fascination for all things dinosaurs and writing poetry, but also being a once-in-a-generation type of talent. So I don't know if Liucci got to read that, but I'll get his thoughts on kind of where Myles is going. We're going to get into some recruiting talk. We get a lot of recruiting questions every week from here at the Tap. And with spring starting to turn to summer and the A&M coaching staff getting out on the road to visit and evaluate prospects across the state of Texas and really across the country, I feel like, an update on the recruiting stuff going into the summer, because don't forget, Monday is our last show of the semester before we take the summer break and we come back for the fall. So I want to get into some recruiting stuff before the big break to kind of give everybody that listens to the show regularly the front overview of where things stand. And it's been kind of funny. Me and Liucci talk about it all the time, and my coworker Jason Hall about how Texas A&M recruiting effort in 2020, they've only got like 4 commits right now. And Jimbo's talking about taking a full class full of 20 to 25 players. The evaluation process is very thorough this go-around, and I think you're seeing that with the amount of miles the coaches are putting on their travel expense reports, and as well as not a hesitancy, but just to make sure they're crossing all their T's and dotting all their I's to make sure that they're getting the right players that can help them win. I said on Texas first year they needed linebackers. Well, they went and scoured the country for the couple of months they were here trying to find any linebacker that they thought could help them win championships, and none of them fit the bill in their eyes, and so they didn't make any offers at linebacker. They didn't take any in that class. And it kind of put them behind the 8 ball in these last 2 classes in 2019 and now 2020. But it just kind of hit home and highlighted the point that they're not just going to take players that I believe can help them win championships. And when you're going nationally to do that in some of these defensive positions, that's what they're doing this year. So we'll get Liucci's thoughts on that. And then huge weekend, enormous weekend on the baseball diamond here at Olsen Field. Hoping to get games in Thursday, Friday, Saturday, starting tonight against Mississippi State. The weather may play a factor, but, if this team wants to host, I think out of these last 9 games, I think winning 6 will do it. I know Boomer White went on there and said 5. I don't think 5 will get you there. I think to host a regional in College Station, you're going to have to win 6 of the final 9 in conference. And 6 of those games are against Arkansas and Mississippi State, 2 of the better teams in the conference. You get them at home. So can this team do it? We'll see. The team worked wonders in Huntsville. I would bet that we see that tonight, maybe, Liucci, the little shuffle with the lineup. But let me ask you this, and I think we asked this same question last year, Liucci, heading into the stretch for baseball. Would you rather host as a 15 or 16 or do as Baseball America has A&M right now, or excuse me, D1 Baseball has them as the 2 seed in Waco, and with Baylor being the 13 overall seed. So that's kind of like here's the deal. I think you always want to host. But if you win that regional as the host and you're on the road to Oregon State or UCLA somewhere out west for a super regional, most likely. Obviously, we've seen it play out differently with the Davidson, North Carolina thing. But would you rather go to Waco as a 2 or would you and then play a team much more comparable to you in the super, or would you rather host and roll the dice out there against one of the best in the country, maybe the defending national champions?
Either or. I'd rather host a regional every year at Texas A&M.
I don't disagree.
I think this program should host a regional almost every season. And, the ultimate goal is bigger than hosting a regional, though. In theory, that's going to always be your best path. Like you said about the Davidson example, or a couple years before on the flip side of that, the TCU example. And, yeah, maybe they'll go out west and play somebody where it's not there's not necessarily a bunch of powerhouses out there. But at the end of the day, the goal is to host a regional, host a super regional, and get to home.
Oh, and I think the coaching staff and the players would say that they want to host a regional because that would mean that they finish down the stretch
playing really good baseball.
And so I went back and looked. They're 5-7 in their last 12. And was listening. I was actually listening to some guys that cover the Yankees talk about you want to go if you feel like you're playing bad baseball, you want to hover around 500. If those are your bad stretches are at 500, then you can weather that storm. And that's a glass half full kind of view of what's happened at A&M. Obviously, not played their best baseball in the last month. I don't think there's any question about that.
5-7 is below 500. Still.
Yeah.
Let's call it last week or the week before. I guess it was maybe last week before the sweep, but they haven't played a stretch of maybe by their standards and sitting really prior to this weekend hadn't played a bad stretch of baseball. Like there wasn't these extended losing streak stretch where they were scrapping. Series at South Carolina within that window. So to me, that wasn't 3 games.
Yeah.
Could have easily, they're like one pitch, one hit, whatever you want to call it.
One defensive play on
one
that game,
defensive play. You in conference, you're sitting right near the top of the league, and you just won back-to-back road SEC series.
And you're talking national seed. Yeah.
And you're feeling great and talking national seed. Still go either way.
Do you have
they go win tonight, and we can all go, damn, they might win.
Well, did you see what Mississippi State's doing?
Well, I saw where
they're bumping their pitching staff up because he's going to give them another day and bump everybody back. So what A&M's going to happen, and this is why you hope you play tonight, to spark the offense.
I wouldn't go that
far. Going like up tempo if you're stale, that kind
Maybe, yeah. I mean, I don't think we need to equate it to football.
It was something that I think a lot of people felt like, all right, and we'll see what happens these final 9 games. And if it works out like it did on Tuesday night for the majority of these 9 games, it's going to look like a stroke of genius.
Just taking one little piece of information, this is just – it's a pretty good team. It's not a great team. It's certainly not a bad team. I'd say they're good.
They're better than the preseason prognosticators had them as. They are good enough to go to Omaha. I don't think there's any doubt with those 2 front line.
Against Arkansas and Mississippi State.
Sure.
You said they could go 6-3. You'd feel good about them hosting. They could between hosting a regional this year, this station or Eugene, Oregon, or what the journey is to get there, which I think they'd Omaha or within a game of it. Okay, that is now SEC this year. They fall to a 2 seed and don't make much noise. Go 0-2 or 1-2 in a regional. Then they didn't overachieve at all.
No,
because this season's not done for good 2 years in a row. And then you feel further away from Omaha than you did the last time you got there, and certainly the 2 years before that. So then all of a sudden you look at it and you go, what direct important? But they're not nearly as important with what happens in the in the postseason. What they do is they set you up for the postseason success. I think they can win the series this weekend. And I think they can, you're really going to have a discussion here.
Yep.
I think that they're capable of winning a home.
Yeah.
You certainly could series, and that's why these next games are so important, Bronny, because That is why Gabe and Clendenin and Sandhop have had their tickets purchased since they beat Gonzaga 2-1. This is a key, is what kind of momentum do those bats and that lineup have, just those.
Yep.
Because if they got any kind of momentum in a super region.
On the other side of the break, we'll flip the script, talk a little recruiting and football. You listen to Beliucci Hour Lunch live on the Zone. Welcome back. Ryan Brauninger, Billy Liucci with you from here at the Tap. Like to eat, enjoy the camaraderie around the place. They got it set up for Cinco de Mayo on Sunday. John's real festive. He's a very, very festive man, so he's got all the decorations up. They're doing crawfish, so come check that out if you so please. Luch, there was an article that came out on MSN.com about the best college football stadium field, but got me thinking, and you do a lot of traveling, and you've been to a lot of places. Your favorite,
I'm over here. We got all this stuff flying around right now on social media, but Big 12 wise, I didn't travel as much in the Big 12 days, though, to be honest with you, and
I
for
figured
good
Lubbock
reason.
would be up there.
I loved going to Stillwater. That was my favorite, actually. Going to Stillwater was my favorite road trip in football. Beat Baylor except for 1 year, and you turn around and drive back. And
back in Asher's day, they'd drive
back and make your way,
They'd drive up there to get all the women from Baylor and then bring them back.
Get beat up by a bunch of Baylor guys and drive back. But, no, I like the Baylor one because, again, like we'd do that. We lived right across the street there, and we'd walk on over to the Tap by the end.
Oh, yeah.
I'd get back about the same time the buses got back or a little sooner, and I'd go make sure our house was stocked up with what it needed to be for the after party, and we'd roll. So that was I always enjoyed that. I did not like Lubbock. I was never a fan. It was too far. That was, maybe now it would be a lot easier and different because you could just hop. Back then when we were in Lubbock was a little much, but really in the Big 12, and I never went to Lawrence for a football game. I never went to I actually never went to K-State. That one's
Colorado.
a bit of a surprise. Boulder, Nebraska.
I think I'm going to go to Boulder in a couple
Okay,
years.
there's another one. I never went to Lincoln. Big mistake on my part. Big mistake. Now, in the SEC, I've been to pretty much all of them that A&M's played. Tennessee. And those are really the only two.
I like the Swamp.
I've been to Lexington multiple times for basketball. Once with the Aggies, once with when Billy Gillespie was coaching there. So I know the town. I do like Lexington a lot. I really enjoy Lexington. Also went for the Sweet 16 a few years ago in Rupp Arena. So we'll check Athens off. And then in the West, here's the big
Have
shocker.
you been to Como?
Here's the big shocker.
Have you been to Columbia?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep, I went the first time, and then I've been twice to there. So the biggest one, to me, the one place I haven't been in the West,
Arkansas,
Auburn.
Auburn.
I've been to Arkansas. We played there in 2012. I have not been to Auburn, and here's why. The first year, it was like just timed up, or I go, this is a good week to not travel. Going to be a competitive insurance. It was like 49-7 at halftime. So I skipped that one, and then I remember Coach Sumlin and even Johnny and the players before the kickoff. And I also said their players are really good and really talented. That's like the best-looking team we played outside of Alabama and LSU. Sure enough, Gus took that same group the next year and played for a title. So I didn't go that year. The next year, if you remember,
was that the Kyle Allen?
Was the week after A&M barely had beaten ULM.
Yep.
And Auburn was ranked number 3. And again, I looked at the schedule and I said, it's been a bear, and we still got this coming up. I was like, maybe I think towards the end you had Missouri and LSU at home, and I was just like, maybe I'll skip this one out. I'm tiring out. It's in November.
You don't have much stamina anymore.
I'm doing my end of season fade. I always pick one that I don't go to. Picked Auburn again. Guess what? They shocked. A&M shocked them. Kyle Allen, blocked field goal right by Myles Garrett right before halftime. So then the third time rolls around, and that was
Trevor. Travion goes
that
for 80.
was Trevor and Travion going for 89. And that time, I had everyone that knew me convince me you can't go. You can't go. I was all right. Again, keep in mind we're sending 5-6 people from TexAgs. So for all these little people in the background, like, I miss like one game a year or two if it's a really piss poor bowl game away. Like I did not go watch them play Louisville that year. That's the only bowl I've missed since A&M's joined the SEC. But I didn't go to that Auburn game because of that, and then this
peer pressure.
And then this past year, I wanted to go, and I just didn't end up going. So I've missed all 4 trips. It's the only road trip that I haven't seen in the SEC.
Would South Carolina be better if you stayed in Charleston every time?
Charleston's awesome.
Columbia.
I don't hate. I mean, Columbia's fine for a football game. I mean, it's better than some of the ones. It's better than a lot of the Big 12 ones. It's better than some of the SEC ones.
Well, it gets loud in there. They get it going. They get the.
Now, if you told me we could play
Sandstorm.
Vandy every year instead of South Carolina, I'd love that.
Nashville's awesome.
Yeah, but when South Carolina's good, or even somewhat good, I mean, that pregame atmosphere was as good as most that I've been to in the SEC. In 2014, when it was they were ranked top 10, and it was a 5:00 Thursday night game, and Ric Flair was out there, and I mean it was pretty intense. And then that was like the mother of all ass kicking.
That was the open up the SEC network, right? Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was good. So on the other side of the break, we are going to get to recruiting. I promise you we're going to get to recruiting. We're going to do that on the other side of the break. You listen to Beliucci Hour Lunch live on the Zone. We're back from here at the Beliucci Hour lunch. Ryan Brauninger, Billy Liucci here on the main stage as we roll along. One more show left after today on Monday before we close the semester. And we come back, we'll be back for fall camp and heading into the 2019 football season. A&M coach has been busy on the recruiting trail. Luch, before we go out for the summer, I did want to give the folks that listen to us, every time we're on stage, just a little bit of an update on where you think this class is at now and then where it's headed. Where will it be once we come back for the summer? So
I don't know when we're coming back for the summer. Has Alizé given you a date yet?
Alizé? Is that what you call it?
His real name is like Alois.
Alois Louis? Oh,
it's like
Eloise?
No, it's not Eloise. It's Alois. Oh. Gabe. It's exactly as I pronounced it because I know the guy for 25 years. It's Alois.
He's going to have you on the show to talk that you outed his real first name.
He will.
Now. Yeah, for sure.
Alizé, as I like to call him.
So let's say we come back in August, late July,
Okay.
August. They're sitting at 4 commits right now. I think that number will increase and decrease, maybe both.
It's almost like this thing's just getting started with 2 terrific pledges in Demas and Jalen Jones, who I think could both
There's 5
make
commits.
a strong case for 5-star status there, and then you've got the 3 linemen.
A&M makes an offer yesterday to Haynes King, quarterback out of Longview. One of the
Wait, are we gonna? I didn't understand what you wanted to. You kind of went past the question you asked me.
Well, you didn't answer it. So.
I was about to. I thought
you
we were
had
going
a
to
deep pause. I didn't know.
No, I thought we were going to continue the discussion.
Well, I think
started off.
I think that they will have some defections from guys that want to take visits that are currently committed, and I think that they will add.
Well, I will
5 or
clarify
6
that ain't Jalen Jones or Damon Demas. I'll start
and
by
then
saying
we
that.
know what Josh Bankhead is.
So if the guys want to take visits, they're taking their commitment status into their own hands, and that'll be conveyed to them, certainly.
Sure. So I think that whatever is of the group of commits, I think you may lose a couple, but I also think by the time we come back in August, they're going to be at 8, 9 total.
There's a lot of guys who are the guys that you like feel good about.
Well, Fadil Diggs is making an announcement Saturday, so when we come back on Monday, we may have something to talk about.
I think Fadil Diggs, A&M's been in a good spot with. I think they've been in a good spot with his friend, defensive tackle there, and Rakes out of New Jersey, who's a screaming take for A&M right now. I
Marco
think they're
Damio.
in excellent shape, and you went there the other day with Marco Damio, the corner out of Blinn. From there, you went to saw another guy that we feel really good about ultimately being an Aggie, and Devin Price.
And I can tell you this, just talking to people in town and people that would know, he's a guy that has slowly but surely climbed up their board of, hey, we offered him, he's a really good player, to a guy we really want to get. His ceiling, we've talked about a lot, his ceiling's as high as anybody.
And I think by the time we come back, I think they could have a commitment from multiple other out-of-state guys,
Sure.
A lineman from Memphis, linebacker from St. Louis. Those are 2
Musa Muhammad's
that you
coming
feel
back.
good. One of the 2, I bet they have another receiver in addition to Devin Price by then, whether that's Muhammad, whether that's Troy O'Meara. I think there are guys out there. I think that position might be wrapped up by August.
So how do you view the guy? So they offered Jabari Small, who's an all-purpose kind of player out of Memphis. So how do you view that position that is, Devon Achane and Jabari Small? Where do they get their own category?
Yeah, I do. I don't. Yeah, I would say odds are increasing that Texas A&M takes an athlete guy this year.
And they did last year with Ananias Smith, although, he's going to start at slot receiver, even though he can do so many things. A-Chain might be the guy I would like to see them close with the most over the summer, Billy, because here's what he does. He is he's the guy that throws 100 miles an hour.
Yeah.
He has one characteristic that nobody else on your team has, and so much, and like nobody else in the state does what he does.
And I think every year, two things. You should always try to add something. You know, you're clearly trying to get better as a team at every position every year. That's the object of recruiting. It's to fill needs and then to improve upon each position every single class. And you can improve by getting better players coming in than the ones that are going out, but you can also improve by getting better recruits than the ones you signed the year before until you reach a certain point. It'd be interesting to grade a class based on that. Of course, it's all subjective. The other part of that, the other thing you're trying to do is, I think, add something to your team that it doesn't have every season. Okay, so if one year that is, look, we are in desperate need of an impact guy off the edge, okay? We're in desperate need of a, Jalen Waddle type of receiver or a big-time playmaker in the slot. Now, they may have found that in Courtney Davis, but heading in, that would have been something. Another thing would have been, like like you said, with Devin, it's not. This is what they tried to get this past year, and I think one of the few needs they were unable to address was to get a home run threat in the return game, and that's why you saw A&M go out and go after a guy like Jake Smith, who ended up at Texas, unfortunately, just to get that home run hitter back there in special teams. And you can piecemeal it. Corbin could certainly be that guy in the kick return game, and somebody like even Aniyah Smith could be a punt returner.
And Rashad Paul wasn't bad.
Paul, who was way better than I think people expected or even gave him credit for as the season went on. And then finally, but what Achane brings is, like you said, he's a 100-mile-an-hour home run hitter every time he touches the ball, whether that be offense or the return game. But from day one, he gives you something back there, and he gives you the kind of speed that no one on that offense, or any offense for that matter, has.
Is it safe to say that you feel like the majority of the defensive class will be from out of state?
Yes, I do. I think when you look at it, how many absolute guys that we know that if they called A&M today, the Aggies would take a commitment.
Alfred Collins.
Probably Princely.
Umamiellen.
Vernon Broughton, probably.
Drew
Josh
Sanders.
Eaton, maybe.
Drew Sanders, who just flipped to Bama.
Who just flipped to Bama after almost flipping to Etwin. So that's a very strange recruitment.
Is it?
Yeah.
But it's played out so much with Bama. It's like
very interesting.
People in the know on that recruitment called that the day of.
Yeah.
The morning of. He just came back from Bama. I bet he flips.
Yeah, and so Drew Sanders, Ryan Watts, obviously. So two of those guys are committed elsewhere.
Damio,
who's JUCO. So I'm talking about just in-state. You're saying in-state. Yeah. In-state high school guys.
Xavion Alford. Maybe.
And that's why I'm trying not to speak for them and hurt their efforts. I'm saying, who do I feel very confident that they would just ban? Yes, done, committed. There ain't many of them. There's not more than a half dozen in-state right now. So to answer your question, hell yeah, I think when you look at guys like Court Williams out of California.
Noah Sewell
out of Utah. Who those might be two of your top linemen. Bratton, the Alabama commit out of Muscle Shoals. I mentioned from Antonio Johnson at safety.
And
Antonio Doyle at linebacker, who I like A&M's chances there. You look,
safety, Vito Tisdale.
Vito Tisdale. You're still going to recruit Major Burns. You're not going to give. Joel Williams is probably a defensive. I think he's a slot receiver, maybe Jaquelin Roy, long shot, but you're obviously going to
McKinley Jack.
You're going to be in there. You're going to be in both Jaquelin Roy and McKinley Jackson's top fives. I mean, you can keep on going out east. You're going to find more.
And the deal is that every one of those guys that you just mentioned, A&M would very much take right now, as opposed to have any questions about. Those are all takes immediately right now for Texas A&M. We're going to go to a quick early break before we close the show with your questions from here at the Tab. You listen to Beliucci Hour Lunch live on The Zone. Show here on a Thursday, May 2nd. Final segment of the Beliucci Hour lunch before we kick it back to Louis Bellina or Alois. Is that right? Did I say it right?
Yeah.
I think I'm going to refer to him as that permanently. Now, questions from the group of folks here joining us at the TAP live audience. Should we let the contract where we play Arkansas and Arlington expire and resume playing home and home? Should Arizona and LSU trade basketball coaches? That seems like two far afield questions. Let's start with a contract with Arkansas in Arlington.
Bronny, I'm busy right now.
Okay.
Responding on the site to breaking or out of Oregon. They're saying Rob Mullins is a candidate for the AD job at A&M, and his is certainly a name that's come up, but at this point, it's one of multiple names that are kind of on a list. Whether you want to call it a short list or a list, there's a list of candidates. It's certainly not one deep at this point. But he is whatever one of the guys that Texas A&M would be considering for that spot.
So whoever wrote that question, you're not getting that answered. And there's an update on the AD search. How about that?
There's your update.
Would you trade Vernon Jackson and Bobby Brown?
They're still sorting through the options, let's say.
Okay. Would you trade Vernon Jackson and Bobby Brown for Jalen Waddle?
Say who?
Vernon Jackson and Bobby Brown for Jalen Waddle.
Both of them? No.
I don't think so
A
either.
healthy Vernon Jackson.
I don't know that I'd trade Bobby Brown for Jalen Waddle.
Well, that's what I was getting at. Now you might have to say, would you trade either or? And my answer would probably be no. If they both trend in the right way they're going, and Jalen Waddle
they're both
is an All-American, I mean,
splitting
it's whatever. I mean, Alabama probably would because they got a lot more Bobby Browns running around there. So Jalen Waddle might be worth more to them. Texas A&M, there are less Bobby Browns than there have been skill positions. They've been harder to come by for the Aggies. So to answer your question specifically, my answer would be no.
Any update on Vernon Jackson? Another question.
No update. And that's going to be guys. Like I don't know if those of you that listen to Jimbo when I talked to him, he went to that touchdown club, and a lot of those same things that he said during our interview 2 weeks earlier have been making the rounds, or a week earlier. He said all this stuff already, and Vernon Jackson, this is going to be a process. They're not going to rush him. I personally, and I don't know anything, but I know when I listen to people talk, like Jimbo's quote that any of you could have listened to me, that tells me I'm not counting on him to play this fall. Now, I'm not saying he can't, but if they're going to go very deliberately and go through this process and see all kinds of the best specialists they can see, and it's neck related, that tells me, A, there's a chance that he won't play again, which he said himself on his Facebook page. B, it is if anything, it might be a situation where he doesn't play football for a year. And then maybe goes and gets reevaluated and gets the green light to return. But this is serious stuff.
Yeah, I don't think you need to count on Vernon Jackson. It would be a pleasant surprise if he had a helmet on this fall.
It would be great if they said, this is what happened. You are not in any more risk than anyone else playing right now for future neck injuries. That would be wonderful news. I think the more realistic news would be, an extended time off from football at the very least. The way he made it sound, the deliberate nature in which they're going to go and pursue finding answers for him.
Bronny and Liucci, 4 players y'all are feeling good about on the commit watch.
Kind of talked about that.
With one expected this weekend, but will that lead to any momentum?
It's interesting because, yes, it will. But at the same time, I'd also like to see them get some in-state momentum as well.
That would probably have to be on the offensive side.
Yeah.
Like we talked about.
Yeah, because you look at those defensive guys we mentioned, and a couple of them, while they're really good players, are not momentum needle
Don't forget
movers.
how big camps were here. And that'll happen in early June.
Yeah, we're a month away from it.
Early to middle June. There'll be a lot of kids coming on campus to camp with A&M coaches.
I think by the end of June, they might have 10 commits. which would almost be half the class. I know you guys are jumping back on
Well,
this.
look at here. What a segue. Is there a decent amount of attrition expected now that Jimbo says he's going to take a full class?
Okay. I think sometimes you guys take – and by you guys, I mean the message board, posters, and everyone. Because I'm going to write today in my Q&A that I don't think they go to 25. And everyone's going to Jimbo said that. I think Jimbo means by when he says a full class, I think when he means a full class, I think he means
as many available scholarships as
they're going to fill up how many scholarships they have. And I think he also means it's not going to be like it's a real small class. We're still going to take a full – a full class could mean 22. And that's going to be the number.
And you've got 2 gray shirts.
I'm kind of working off 22 plus the 2 gray shirts. Yeah, that'd be like 24. When I say 22, I mean 22 new signees. That's kind of the number I'm working off of right now. And I'll say this. I haven't landed on that like I did last year on the 26 when everyone was arguing with me. I said they cannot go above 26. They can't. And I was right then. On this one, I'm not saying it's solid at 22 and they can't do more. This year, so much of it depends on attrition. And when you're losing like 6, like a half dozen seniors, you're going to end up, there has to be quite a bit of attrition there. So it's going to be interesting. But I think they'll be slightly over 20. I don't think they'll sniff 25. That's my opinion. I doubt it will change. If it does, I will tell you it will because I'm not stating that as a hard, irrefutable fact at this point.
Got about a minute left. Just some qualities that you would like to see this A&M AD.
In a woman?
Well, did you just put gum in my water?
Yeah, I thought you were done with it. It freshens up the flavor too.
Dude, that gum stinks.
It's like
so strong, makes my stomach hurt.
It's Orbit.
I don't even forget what I was going to ask. I can't believe you did that. If I did that to him, he'd walk out of here.
No, I just wouldn't drink it.
Well, I'm not going to drink it.
I think you could drink it. I think it'll flavor it up a little bit.
I'm not touching that, Billy.
The tap water.
He tries to. He tries to.
Bronny, the
make me
Taps
do
water,
certain things just for his pure entertainment. Bronny, you should do this.
I don't think you're going to drink my gum water.
But
I really thought you were done. For those not here and listening, there's like
a quarter of a glass,
3 fingers worth of water, and that's with the ice in it too. So it's like 2 sips of water, and it is 12:57, and the show's over at 1. So I doubt
the show's over in 30 seconds. I was going to ask you, are you going to go to any of the Rockets games?
I don't know. If
I'd like to see them. I don't really keep up much with the NBA, but I'd love to see them beat the Warriors. Especially,
I went to a Stars playoff game this week on.
We're ending the show there because
no, it was. Let me tell you, you wouldn't understand
because I don't you're a Dallas Stars bandwagon.
I'm not a bandwagon. I just wanted to go to NHL playoff hockey. Have you ever seen it?
Talk to Dalton about this.
Have you ever been there?
No, because
then you're missing out.
All right, we will see you guys on Monday. Louis is on the other side of the break. Beliucci Hour.
Play it in the Golden Triangle.